But we finally started now. Things are good. Fortunately, I can't seem to find my co-host, Chakani. I think she might have been it. But otherwise, welcome to today's event. Again, really sorry about the delay. Um, definitely not expected, but hopefully we'll make up for it. So, for some of you may be asking, uh, what's the day about? Well, obviously, 80 self-explanatory. But if it's today's big focus is going to be on getting a tech CV ready when you go out there and finally make a career for yourself. So most of you guys are probably using or in a tech related field, whether it's someone who's actually already out there working, you have a job, congratulations, by the way, if you do, or you're like me, someone who's a student and hopefully trying to get a really good tech job. And today is really about both. So whether you're just looking to skill up on your pre-existing CV, or you're trying to go into something, or you're trying to go into your first job, actually, right? So we'll get the materials. In fact, I'm actually getting the materials ready as we speak. Again, I can't seem to hear from my co-host. I don't know what's going on with it. Let me actually just double check on her, but regardless, we can at least get some basic content started. Okay, let's see. Right, there we go. Hopefully she'll be right in very soon. But regardless of that, let's get some things started, right? So first things first. Let's leave this little banner around. So pretty much I'm near certain everybody who's watching this is from Africa. So it goes without saying that when it comes to tech-based defense and everything that's really around them, things tend to be a little different or weird here. Same thing goes with, I wouldn't say same thing goes with how you make your CV, but we live in this odd situation where we probably have to balance between, what's it called? We probably have to balance between creating a CV that maybe works for here and creating a CV that works for everyone else. What I mean by that is this. Maybe if you're trying to prepare to just be a general IT guy on a, sorry, in a non-tech based company, there really isn't, what's it called? There really isn't maybe too much from here that might apply sometimes. That's just this modern situation. But that being said, always having a strong CV tends to help. So even if everything you put there isn't 100% appreciated, it tends to help out to have your stuff in order anyway. So I'm gonna actually do something a little scary. I'm gonna start by showing you guys my CV, which don't get me wrong, is not the cum laude magnus opus best CV ever made. Really, it isn't. But hopefully there's enough here for us to get a general idea. And that's because we're gonna go from this CV to go into a guide that is created by Google, as in what they actually prefer from students who are trying to apply to work full time at Google or even just go there for an internship versus what's it called? Another one that's also created by Microsoft, actually, which is what they prefer from someone who's drafting their first CV. So let's go into that. Okay, let's see here. Where is it? There it is. So let me actually start by loading up my CV. My co-host is still a bit of a ghost right now, so fortunately, I still cannot find her. I don't know where she is. If you're anyone from the Google DSC CUT team, please hit Shakani up and I don't know, throw something over her head. I'm sure she'll join me. I'm joking. Oh my. But oh, I think she's just having a little trouble with Teams. I'm sure she'll join soon. Okay, so let's actually switch feeds here. Let's see. Stop sharing this. Let's share this. So I'm hoping you guys can see this properly. Let me actually try and zoom in just a little. Okay. So this is me. Very simple, very basic, maybe even a little boring. I don't know. Depends on how you guys prefer to see a CV. Because, yeah, you definitely can have flashier, better looking CVs. I've seen a lot of designs from, I mean, even Microsoft Word tends to give you some pretty good CV slide templates. And those are acceptable. Like, really, those are actually A, acceptable. B, they can even have their benefits, which are plenty. But really, what I've noticed, it's always about content. So you can have a flashy CV, or at least a flashy or nicer looking CV. I'll put up a template of one just so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. But especially if you're working in tech and you're looking for a technical job, the truth is how flashy it looks probably isn't the biggest thing. But you know, it's not a bad thing. Just don't make it too flashy, don't make it distracting. So let's start here. Um, this is me, right? Yes, my name is on. Wait, let's just go with Clint, just so that no one gets confused. What you see right here is my GitHub. This is based on a guide that I got from Google. I'll actually open up again, as I said, I'll open up a Microsoft guide, but it pretty much follows a um, very similar template, follows a very similar way of doing things. Basically, both tend to be looking for similar things, and top tech companies in the world tend to be doing. And some of you might wonder, okay, fine. Well, actually, if you're looking for some of the best tech companies that Zimbabwe or at least a lot of African countries actually have to offer, they tend to offer, I mean, to follow international standards. That's actually true. You try and apply for a job at Cassava Smart Tech today, they want a CV that looks like this. You try and apply at Afrosoft, they want a CV that looks like this. And that's because these companies are trying to hold themselves to an international standard. So, you know, an internationally acceptable CV is a good starting point. So as I said, this is my name, this is an email. Sometimes I use my student partner's email or student ambassador's email rather, I'm very sorry. But yeah, these are contact details. Um, some of you might be wondering, why isn't there a where I live or stuff like that attached to that? That really depends. As I said, this is one that's more internationally acceptable. So chances are most of the time they're not going to need that on your CV. They will start to ask about that later, right? Maybe like if they just want to post you something or mail you something, or they need certain details that just come with working somewhere. They'll tend to ask for that later. So one thing that I will say, I actually need to make this clear. My CV is 2 pages. Some people try and go for 1 page, and that's because of this. A CV should be clear, concise, straight to the point, right? Don't try and quote unquote do too much. I feel like that's the correct lingo for the age we live in. But really, don't try and do too much. Don't try and overextend certain things. Do what's needed or show what's needed. because the truth is, whoever's going to be looking at this CV is probably going to be looking at, like, say, at least, if it's a really good job, at least 50 other CVs. And oh, we have something in the question and answers. Someone's asking for a recording. As usual, all events we have, there's always a recording. And we always try and put up recordings for all these events. We put them up on A, you can actually come back to Teams, use the same link and watch it. B, we put them up on YouTube just to make them accessible to a few more people, hopefully. And C, I think DSC has their own YouTube, which this will be shared to as well. So if you're coming from DSC and you want to watch this later, just let me know. So I'm actually going to try something here. I'm going to try and call Shakani. Hopefully it will call her into this meeting, and that'll make things a little better. All right, so that's one thing. So I'm just going to type yes on YouTube. All right, back into the main polls, right? Show participants. Let me see. Okay, who's invited from this conversation? Let's see if I send her a call. If she can join in. Hopefully she can see it. Shakani, please join. Trust me, it's weird when you're just talking to yourself. So thank you for everyone who's actually sending stuff in the question and answer session. Please feel free, by the way, to jump in on that. Please feel free to ask whatever you want to ask. Okay, no question is too dumb. Hey, Shakani, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, what happened?
I'm not sure what's happening because like
the Okay, but is it showing presenter mode from your end, or it's still showing basically the streaming view?
now it's different. It shows request control. Yeah. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think my audio is way behind.
Okay, but can you see something that allows you to present?
Nope.
Wow, okay, that's fine. I can't even see video, or are you on audio mode only? Hello, you there?
Sorry, the actual audio is a few minutes behind.
It's okay. What was I saying? Okay.
I can just see the presentation.
Okay, it's cool. It's fine. And it seems like it can't show your video because I should be able to see yours, but all right, there might be some issues there. If you want, you can try connecting and reconnecting again. Maybe that'll help. If it doesn't, that's fine. I think we can still continue.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, definitely. Still here.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's cool.
Okay. So for everybody who doesn't know, this is Shakani. She's the Google DSC lead for the Chinhoyi University of Technology. I don't know. Say hi for a second. I mean, people probably know who the heck this is, but yeah, introduction's always nice.
Hi.
Wow. Okay. I'm not even. But anyway, okay. So let's.
Sorry guys for the technical difficulties. Of course, I don't add those mishaps on my CV. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the talk and hopefully you learn something.
Okay.
As I will be as well.
Wait a minute. How you're supposed to be presenting with me?
Yeah, but yeah, you know about that. Anyway, go on. You're doing so well.
This is not gonna go well. I'm joking. All right, let's try and go back into this because yeah. All right. So as we were saying, really what matters about a CV is Be short, be precise, be concise. In other words, focus on what actually really matters here. Okay. I already said this. Whoever's going to look at this might look at 50 or hundreds of CVs, especially if you're trying to go for a big tech company. The honest truth is, everybody's going to try and go for a big tech company. Those who are the most qualified, those who are not qualified, and pretty much everybody else in between. Don't let that scare you. Definitely send your CV, but try and make it stand out somehow. And by stand out, please don't put anything scary or weird in there. Okay, we're all very different personalities. Some of us are into horror films. Try not to explain your favorite horror flick in your CV. That will not go well. I'm just saying this right now. But anyway, as I said, so taking mine as an example, again, this is really putting myself out there, but okay. So we look at professional and technical experience.
I literally was gonna say putting yourself out there is gonna get you a job, but from the looks of this CV, you have more than plenty.
No. I don't. Okay, let's start there. Look, I know some of you guys who are looking at this are first year at university. You've maybe never done a CV before. Look, that's fine. Okay, don't let this scare you. Don't let this intimidate you. I am someone who spent 2 years before going to college, so I had to find jobs, and then even during college, I still have to find side jobs because life is interesting. So please don't look at this and be like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a single type of job for professional and technical experience. What's going to happen with me? I am doomed, etc. No, okay. You'll notice that this one here in Tivcon Business Solutions is technically the only formal job. And even though it's the only formal job, you see this co-founder thing here, trust me, that just means me and a couple of guys try to do something together and it's going. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it's going well. I'm not going to say it's going badly. But again, this is essentially a personal side project, not any big testament of my professional prowess or whatever. So that's the first thing. Freelance web development. This is me playing around with websites, which is stuff I do. But if you're someone who's in the tech field, chances are you've maybe played around with something on your own. Okay, you've done a project for a friend, you've done a project for yourself, just messing around. You've done a project for someone who was in part for at your school, paying you because they couldn't do it themselves. I'm not going to say anything. It's okay. It's a safe space here. But you can write some of that stuff down, right? Like even if you've only done one thing, you can write, I don't know, freelance or what's it called, budding Android developer. Maybe write one or two, highlight one or two projects that you've done. Like, oh, so I've done like 2-3 Android projects. You write it small, brief. You can maybe elaborate on it later down as we go down. But yeah, and maybe I'm sorry, I actually didn't start with the structure. So it's good to start with professional and or technical experience. Then, yeah, still the same thing, right? You can see this. Then maybe go into accolades and awards. Then go into your education and then your references. Try and remember that flow. Professional experience, whatever is there, right? Accolades and or awards. So and or achievements, actually, let's say that, because awards, people always think formal award ceremony. Nah, it can just be something you've done. All right. You were able to get a distinction for your part 2, part 3 project or first year, second year project. That's cool. Put that out there. Okay. Show that, hey, it might not be the biggest thing, but I've done a few things. It's pretty cool. Then there's your education. And I say this because here in Zimbabwe, a lot of CVs, especially non-technical ones, truth is a lot of us, we tend to go, which route? I'm sorry. We tend to go the education route first, right? We go and we talk about our education. Oh, I've been here. Oh, I've done this, etc., etc. I got, what's it called? how many A's in my A level, I got how many A's in my O level. And that's not a bad thing, really. Okay, those are all really good things, and you should be practical out of that. But chances are you're what? Just you're looking for your first internship. You've gone 3 years into university, or this is your first job, like ever, out of university. Well, you chance that that person's not going to care about their high school scores. Just putting it out there. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to build a good academic profile and to always have it, but it's probably not the first thing someone wants to see. A company is looking for, I don't know, a Python developer, right? Or an Android developer. The first thing they're going to look at is, are you good at being an Android developer? They're not going to look at, what's it called? How many A's you got in your O levels. So remember that, so you start with professional. Yeah, sure. Shakani, you want to say something?
I mean, yes, I definitely agree. I just wanted to add on to that point that your CV must have your most recent qualifications and most relevant. And most times when you're going out looking for a job, high school is not that. Personally, my CV doesn't even have anything high school related. The one I used for attachments, it just briefly had a name, not much else, and after that I scraped it off completely because like Clint said, it is nice, but most times it's irrelevant, and you don't want to clutter your CV with irrelevant information.
Okay, exactly. Though I'm gonna ask what kind of stuff you're doing in high school so much that you wanted to hide it, but
It's complicated.
she burnt down schools, people. But anyway, let's continue. So yeah, as Chi was saying, we'll go to the education section, but yeah, you can put it in the order of most relevant first, then least relevant. So probably college. If you're someone who's now doing their master's, you better put your master's, then put your bachelor's degree, then go into high school and so on. But right, okay. So we wrote about a few things that I do. Um, if you are, this is definitely good. This is definitely, I mean, important. For our field, it can be, it is a good idea actually to just straight up write which languages you're good at. All right, like what do you do as a developer, or what do you do as a programmer, or what do you do, period. Okay, because this is not just for developers and programmers. Some of you guys do networking. Some of you guys are into mainly database security or something. Some of you guys are into security in general. All of those fields matter. So what do you do? Now, here's something I did, because I will, and to be fair, I am going to say technically maybe this approach might not be the best way to go about it if you're looking for a, what's it called? An international job, but I did it anyway because I felt it would still be useful. So here's how I went about it. I went proficient in this stuff that I can actually, you throw a project at me, I'm not gonna shoot myself. I think I'll usually be okay with it, right? So proficient in C#. I really wanted to just write web development, but some people actually don't go with that. So, but basically, HTML, CSS, ASP.NET, MVC. This is all web development stuff, by the way. PHP, WordPress as well, because if you're looking for a job in Zimbabwe, some people will know if you say you're good at PHP, you're probably good at WordPress and content editors. cPanel and ASP.NET hosting. So that's what I did. A better version of that might actually be, if you say proficient in, then you can just write C# all on its own. Then you go web development. You know, you can put a colon, web development colon, then HTML, CSS, etc. All the stuff I wrote. Then database or what's a database or hosting management, cPanel and ASP hosting. Then I wrote familiar with, because let's face it, a lot of us have gone through school. We've learned a lot of different languages, even if it's been for a short time. But you might have enough of an introduction that if you jumped back into it today, you could make something out of it, right? So for me, C, JavaScript. A lot of you will probably laugh because technically I'm supposed to be a web developer and I know JavaScript is something I'm only familiar with. jQueries and Bootstrap help people. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Java, Kotlin, Python, Xamarin, and Flutter mobile frameworks, MySQL and SQL databases. Again, trying to split this up could be useful. So you can just write C all on its own, but then maybe be like web, JavaScript, mobile. Literally could put Java, Kotlin, Xamarin, and Flutter there, Python all on its own. Then again, databases, MySQL and Microsoft SQL databases. So yeah. I don't know, Shakani, you want to add anything here?
No.
What did you write?
Please don't put me on the spot. Like, my CV is still very blank. I didn't work 3 jobs before college, so yeah. All I pretty much have is my attachment and stuff that I did at school.
Yeah, but
a little bit of spice.
Stuff that you did at school, wasn't it? Wait, what counts as spice?
Lying about my proficiency, but see, that's a problem that you can deal with after you get the job. I'm not advising people to do this. I'm just saying, you know, if it works, but no, don't do it.
This is what living in Zimbabwe has been like, people. Anybody, it's been tough, but hopefully you guys don't have to deal with that. We really put a to it. But okay. But seriously, okay, but even still, in your experience, there are things that you've done, right? There are languages that you've written in or that you at least have some experience in. So so you could put maybe, I don't know, proficient in
Python, Flutter, the mobile framework, and which, by the way, now has a web version. They released that, and
Windows and Mac PC version, I believe.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
I mean,
awesome.
Yeah.
And C#. I also did C#. And familiar with a whole bunch of other stuff. I dabbled in some languages, JavaScript. I saw PHP. I didn't do much with it.
You saw.
I was just passing
just
by.
Flew by you. Like,
it just flew by.
Like, hi back, and then it just.
Yeah, and wait, proficient also HTML and CSS, not programming languages, but I like to add that there as well as part of the languages to kind of like give my CV some cushioning, make it look like it has some things, you know.
Well, that's another thing. I was actually going to say this. Guys, believe it or not, it's okay to have literally 1 or 2 things in if that is what you're actually really good at. Especially in the proficient in part. You can familiar with, you could probably add a few more. You could probably add quite a few things. Just don't make it too long. But really, if you just write, look, I'm just good at C#, or I'm just really good at Flutter, what I've dealt with, and maybe chances are you've probably uploaded something to Firebase, and you're like, I'm just good at Flutter, I'm just good at Firebase. It's okay to work with that. Like, it's really, really okay to work with that. You don't have to feel a certain type of pressure to say a lot of things that you're proficient in, because this is how these things tend to work. There tends to be, what's it called? There's this crazy disconnect that happens with us, which is like, we go to school for a year or 2 years. That's all the computer science or programming or technical knowledge that we have. And yet you get in a job and someone's saying not even someone saying, you just fear that they'll say they need like a full stack developer with like 3 years of experience. And you just started. So, you know, it tends to be, how can I say this? Confusing and scary, I know, but it's really okay to just say what you're really good at. And this tends to differ, especially in Zimbabwe, but some companies are starting to get wind of this, which is that sometimes it's better to say you take the guy who says he's really good at one or two things than the guy who says they're good at everything, because chances are the person who says that they're good at everything is a jack of all trades and a master of none, and chances are they aren't even half as good as they think they are at that same thing that they say they're good at. On the other hand, someone who's saying they're good at one or two things probably is really, really good at that one or two thing. And if they need them just for that, you'll be just fine. We had a Python workshop. I mean, not a Python workshop. We had a workshop with a special guest called Akim Munene, like I think it was December of last year. And he talked about this. All he really says he's good at is Python. But what he's been able to do at just Python, and yes, it's Python, very flexible, but still is a lot. So you don't have to say you're super coder or the Superman equivalent of a programmer or whatever.
Huh?
Well, you sound surprised.
No, I'm laughing. The Superman version of a coder. It's just the references. I should have known you'd find a way to stick that in there.
I'm not even gonna act like I know what that means. We're just gonna move on. Anyway, okay. Professional and technical experience, productivity and administration. This again is I'm gonna say this is probably the most Zimbabwean section of my CV. And by that I mean this. The truth is, you will literally go to places if it's a CV for here. And by the way, I will say this. You can trim some of these things if you're looking for an international job. In fact, I would suggest you trim some of these things if you're looking for an international job, because some of these things are probably not. No one is going to need to know if you're really good at using Windows, Mac OS, and Chrome OS. Look, to be fair, there are people who really don't know how to use Linux. That happens. But it's likely not going to be the thing that, I doubt they're going to say you're an amazing developer, but because you didn't write that you can use Linux on your CV, it's game over.
I would also like to note, try not to have any typos on your CV.
Do I have a typo on mine?
Tell me September 7, 2020.
Oh my God. Yep, you got me. But yeah, I did say it, putting myself out there, guys. Putting myself out there. Yeah, this is what I expected. But don't have typos on your CVs. But yeah, this not really that important if you're looking for a job internationally. May be useful if you're looking for a job here. It's just the truth. Let's go to what's it called? Okay, leadership and awards is the same as awards and accolades. It's the same as achievements, whichever way you name it. If you've been, this is more really about extracurricular or side activities that you've done, which are useful to your CV. So how can I say this? Chances are, if you're the lead singer of a high school singing group, it might not be that useful. It'll be interesting. You could still put it down there, but of course, it's all about relevance, what comes up first, and what's most important, right? So always keep that in mind. With that being said, this can range back maybe as far as you want it to, but again, of course, don't keep things cluttered. Some of you are really overachievers. How can I say this? You were the first child in your family to walk in under 4 months, and that's amazing. It really is. But the problem with that is, again, relevance. So even if you're a super achiever and you achieve something amazing every month, maybe try and trim it down to, I don't know, let's see here. At least six points and below, maybe like 6 major points and below. So what I did, I talked about that I'm a Microsoft Student Ambassador for the RI Institute of Technology, something that has been happening since late 2020 to date. I stated that I was a Google Developer Student Club's lead for the RI Institute of Technology. I should actually remove the current parts. This was an older CV that I used mainly when I was trying to get an attachment, because this has ended. My tenure ended in July of 2020. It's usually about a year. It was sad. It happened, but hey, you know, life goes on. And you can talk about maybe what that achievement was and what what's it called, what it entailed. Because, well, if you write, I don't know, I'm the guy who keeps, yeah, I know this is actually going to be some kind of rap song reference, but still, I'm the guy who keeps the blog hot for 7 days a week. No one is going to know what that means, except, really big rap fanatics or people from your blog. But if you say, "Oh, I'm actually a community leader in my neighborhood, and I tend to help with everything from neighborhood watches to, I don't know, helping people set up their Wi-Fi, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. Small thing, it's a side activity. You can maybe put it down there if you have something more important, but explain what's happening. People tend to want to know what is happening. That's number one. Number two, a lot of people actually ask me what goes in here. And as I said, it's really a case of most relevant. So another thing that I'm actually going to do is talk about open source and the open source community for a bit. Some of you guys have done that, right? You've taken a project off of GitHub, you've forked it, or you made your own little adjustments to it, and you either upload it to that repo again, or upload it like adding to that repo, or you made your own repo, but then you made sure you credited the repo you got it from. That's actually one way. Another thing is, some people just straight up upload a project online and they're like, guys, I need help with this. Please help me with that. You did something about that. Someone needed help on Stack Overflow, and you were actually brave enough to add some advice, which is actually a really scary thing, because if you say the wrong thing, you're going to feel like an idiot for years. But yeah, all those things, that's contributing to the open source community. A lot of people tend to ask me what that is, and go for it. Okay, do it, do that. That is the type of stuff that really, really helps out on your CV. Like, I am going to say this right now. I have not done enough of it. I have contributed to like one project, need to actually add that. But that is what you need to do. Okay, get on that. Just try and do something. It might not be the biggest change. It doesn't have to be like, I don't know, I turned this for an app that could, I don't know, track your other phones based on a combination of, I don't know, wireless networks and, location tracking, whatever. You could be like, all I did was add a specific set of icons to that and made it look nicer. And that might not sound like the biggest change ever, but it helps. Or I added another option to the options list, which actually I found really helpful. That's fine again. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, I took that app and it went from being able to track locations to being able to, I don't know, predict your next move based on your daily comment and blah, blah, blah. That, don't get me wrong. If you do that, you're awesome. But not everybody has to, you know? Not everybody has to be able to do that. So again, just try and keep it light. I am actually gonna jump into another part of the presentation, especially since this needs to keep going and I need to do this the right way. Let me see here. There's actually another presentation that I want to show you guys. Love it. As I said, we're drawing from both Microsoft and Google resources that we got access to. This is from Kamara Swat. I hope I'm saying this the right way. Swabi or Swabi, not sure. She actually works at Microsoft. She's pretty awesome. And what this whole what this whole presentation was about. It was from Microsoft Inspire, I believe, this year. No, it was actually no. It was from Microsoft Student Ambassador Summit this year. It was online, and there were it looks at 3 main pillars. I'm not going to go through all of it. Here's the thing. I'm going to share this. I'm sharing this in the Teams. I'm going to share this in the WhatsApp groups afterwards. Everyone should have access to this. Everyone should look this up. It's really awesome. But because even the stuff I was telling you is okay, but this is a next level. This is just a small thing. How can a recruiter find you? Am I available on social channels? Okay, so there's a kind of a pyramid. Chance, random events, conferences, life, most likely. Social channels, LinkedIn, a little more likely. Then of course, resume when you actually apply for said job. And let's actually talk about that, right? Stuff that we kind of already went into. Contact info, right? So LinkedIn, portfolio, GitHub. If you have an online portfolio, that would be useful as well. We weren't really covering that, but that is very useful. School info, your major, your GPA, relevant classes, graduation date. This is if you've done that. Class projects. That's another thing that we're going to talk about on achievements, because class projects are very, 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 very important. And you guys have to have like a handle on that. If you did some, as I said, some first year projects, some second year projects, this is where you put stuff, right? Experience, we already talked about that. But internships, research, work study, personal projects, awards and certifications, again, personal projects and competition channel, skills and more. Skills, leadership clubs, volunteering, interests, any other info, right? So let's see here. This was for a software engineer's job. Qualifications. Right. This is actually a CV. You can tell that the format's a little still in mind, right? So let's actually look at that one because that's the most. Again, it's almost the same, but there's detail here, right? Action verbs and clearly describing roles and impact that was made, right? That a team of 3 on an STB emulator project, designed the architecture, developed the byte for byte class. So basically talking about what you've done, and this guy was software developer into what you've done and what you're able to do in that job. So even as I said, even when it comes out to even your, it can start from your work experience. You can go into your awards or leadership and accolades. Say exactly what you did, right? Right. Personal projects and relevant experience. It all counts, right? Programming languages here, technical skills, right? This was okay. Let's start with that personal project. So, Arcs Input Manager provides event-driven inputs with a fluent interface on top of an XNA framework using reactive extensions. Essentially, a project that goes along with what he's doing, right? Let's go into this. So, programming skills, we already talked about this. Programming languages, scripting languages, operating systems. I'm actually surprised about this one because I actually thought this wasn't, I should have looked at this again. But yeah, because operating systems and then tools, right? I'd like to know where you use those technologies in the experience section. So sometimes when you talk about your experience, in fact, not sometimes, when you talk about the experience, talk about, what is this? What you used, right? I built a mobile app. Okay, how? Right? I used Java or Kotlin using Android Studio. Talk about that, right? You don't have to say every nitty-gritty little detail, but talk about it. Right, honors and activities. This one is 1 page, and which is impressive, by the way. And I think I could get mine to 1 page if I like shaved some of that, as I said, some Auburn specific stuff off. But right. Programming languages, sorry, Bash, Python, Arch Linux, CentOS, all these things matter. And then honors and activities, MST, Association of Computing Machinery and Linux User Group. Right. As it says here, this person is clearly passionate about programming because these small leadership positions show that he kept going up a sort of ladder in what he was doing, right? And kept, what's it called, going to camps, going to events, being involved in activities that really care about what he's doing. I'm a little, I mean, I have student ambassadors, I have DSC, and that was awesome. That was great. I have some other things we'll talk about, but I'm even a little bit more scattershot about that because I talked about stuff that I like write for TikTok and stuff, and I love that. And it can actually help because it shows some personality. But you know, this person was very much zeroed in on what he does, and that's really awesome. Okay, here's my breakdown. So this one is actually a little different here. Let's see. School stats, external experience, personal project, numbers. But this is for a financial analyst job. So a little different, not exactly needed. LinkedIn, setting up your LinkedIn. Again, we'll go into this in more detail. Or rather, I'll give you guys so that you can look at this in more detail. I'm not really going into your LinkedIn. I feel like that's something that can actually be a whole other event, like how you use your LinkedIn to get, you know, jobs. But yeah, so LinkedIn, add a photo, add your education, add your work experience, add volunteer experience if you have it, add your skills. Definitely. You definitely need to do that. And draft a sort of summary, right? Who are you? What do you do? What do you love? Always useful. Things to consider. This is actually about this LinkedIn stuff. So relevance of that, best selfie light. No, take a really good photo. People always want to put a super professional grade photo. If you can afford that, if you can do that, awesome. Not everyone can, so put what you can, right? Did I fill the needed requirements for the role that the role asks for, right? Then application processes, I'm not really going to go into that because today is more about your CV. But I think you guys got a general idea from this, and hopefully you can see, again, we'll share more of that, but hopefully you guys got a pretty good idea. I see you for a minute, and how about that? I might have some connection issues in a bit, but I'll still be here, so please don't leave, please. Okay, wow, that's what but really that's all right. Let's go into. So I already talked about some of these things, right? What I did as a DSC lead, going into detail. Microsoft Hackathon at Microsoft HQ in Washington, invitee, participant through the windows inside a program. Basically, got invited to go on Microsoft's campus for a week. It was pretty cool. I actually couldn't go into detail on that because I actually kind of got, what's it called? There was an NDA basically, so I couldn't actually really just talk all about it because I really wanted to. Act in Africa 2017 entrepreneurship competition window for mid-fight. That's about the last thing that I talked about here. Tried to keep it pretty relevant. Didn't want to go back way into high school. There are some things that I could have talked about, I guess, but yeah, I figured this is what's most important. Education, we already actually mentioned this, like level of relevance, right? Let's talk about your high school results. Let's talk about your O-level results, maybe. I mean, let's talk about, sorry, wow. Let's talk about what you're doing first or what you've done. Because some of you guys, most of you, still in school. So just write what your program is right now. A lot of people put on their transcripts. It's not that important quite yet. I know people don't want to hear that, some of you, because you have a really good transcript. But don't put it in your CV. Okay, trust me, every relevant company will ask. They will ask for your transcript at some point because they care about your transcript. But you don't have to do that from like day one. So keep an eye on that. Always remember that. Then I put the schools I went to, general exam points. Let's not delve too much into that. I don't know, great. Anyway, references, right? It's always good to have references. Now, there's my co-founder slash CEO, and there's Anidi from Google's subs, basically from Google. So pretty much, which is awesome. Right. And a lot of you are looking at that, maybe thinking, how do I get really good references like that? Well, start here. I already talked about some open source work. I already talked about trying to get, maybe I didn't push it enough, trying to get involved in projects, even if they're not school mandated. A lot of us, we've only done school projects, and I get it, that's cool. But if you get some time, just try something, play around with some stuff, get involved in something. And of course, be a part of communities like this one, well, like these ones. Google DSC, Microsoft Student Ambassadors, other people join Facebook dev circles and stuff. Hey, I'm not going to tell you what to join and what not to join. I would say even try them all out if you can, if you have the time. But jump into that. It's going to give you so much exposure. It's going to make you see what the tech world is going to be like out there. And I would like to think that that does a huge benefit for how you build your CV as you go. And yes, you can put as a reference on that CV, because maybe you meet someone and you only work with them on one project, but what you do on that one project will actually impress them so much that when you're looking for a job and you're like, hey, can I add you as a reference? They'll be like, yes, definitely, because I love your work ethic, I love what you do, or I love what you did last time, so please go put me right there. And that'll be awesome, right? That'll be great. Slight error again on my part. Again, this CV was mainly to be used in Zimbabwe. Put a +263 here, or 00263, 0. It's kind of just, common sense-ish, but yeah, things that we forget sometimes. So always think about that, and try to keep what's it called? Everything about your CV in focus on who you actually put as a reference to, because you're probably going to need to put people that are a little, I don't know, relevant. I think that's the basic way. It really does still come down to relevance. A shop manager for a grocery store isn't bad, but an IT manager, someone would probably be better. Or even, of course, your lecturers and your professors and your teachers. Those guys matter too. So, and a lot of them would actually, hopefully, be willing to give you some pretty glowing reviews if you let them, because a lot of them do want to help out. So always think about that, right? Because all that stuff always matters. Shakani, I don't know. Do you want to add some stuff here?
No, not really. I'm just a guest today. I'm learning as well. My CV is a mess, but I will use your tips to fix it. Thank you very much. Am I audible? Huh. All right. Seems our presenter is maybe has network problems. So all right. So I think that was the gist of it, and our main speaker said he might experience some network problems, and I'm pretty sure this is what happened right now. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but thank you very much for coming to our event, and I hope you guys learned something. This session, the recorded session, will be available on YouTube for the DSC channel for Chinoi, and I think the Microsoft student ambassador channel for hit. And the document that Clint was using to present, we will share it in our respective groups. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, please do post them in the live event Q&A section. I will wait a couple of minutes for questions if there are any. And if not, we can end this meeting.
Hey, sorry.
I had literally just started ending the meeting, to be honest.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you did mention that you were going to have network problems at some point, so I don't know how long you were going to be gone.
Okay, fair enough. So there were actually some points that I realized in the question and answer session I actually hadn't addressed or looked at. Let me go back to sharing the screen. Sorry about that, guys. Really. Ugh. Okay, but let's actually people. Okay, no, but walking within 6 months might make you stand out. Just asking. So I actually hadn't seen that. Apparently, someone cited difficult to express how good their capability to walk within 6 months. What I'll say is, I don't know if you can find a way to add that onto your LinkedIn without making it look goofy or crazy or anything like that. Do it. No, I'm not even joking. Do that. But be smart about it. I don't know. Post it as a picture, then pin it to your profile, and just like, this is me walking at 4 months. Just remember, when people look at your profile, they're like, wow, okay. There's a really long history of overachieving, something along those lines, I guess. But all right, I don't know. Does anyone actually have any further questions that they may want to ask? Again, materials will be shown. I'm going to share, of course, the Microsoft document, as well as a link to a resume guide that came from actually. And I feel like that'll help out with a lot of you guys, just in general. So I don't know. You guys can tell me if that helps you in any way. Shakari, it seems like it's showing muted on. Or maybe just sorting something out.
I did not mute myself. It says I was muted. I assumed it was you.
Hey, not me. And besides, you're talking
cool.
right now. Definitely not me.
No,
Oh,
I unmuted to talk when you spoke to me, but I thought maybe you were hearing some background noises that I wasn't hearing, so I'm like, okay.
Okay, no, that's definitely not me. So you guys blame whoever else did that. It's not me. Just say.
Ooh, freaky.
What do you mean? I'm not even gonna go into that. But okay. So again, anyone still has any questions or anything they'd like to ask or anything they'd like to add, I would definitely be I think we'd both be more than happy to. Shakani is the one who's going to be just sitting here watching or something.
Oh, me answer questions. Cool. If anyone has any questions,
Right.
I will attempt to answer them.
And try not to kill yourself in the process of doing it.
Yes.
Okay, but seriously, guys, if anyone's got it, okay, wait, we've got one's already been published. One just said hi. Like that's just no. But you guys can. Guys, please use the question and answer section. So someone would like apparently only moderators can talk, and yes, that is true. But you can still use the question and answer question, and yeah, okay. Someone said a GitHub assistant.
I'm not sure if that's a question or are we being told that it's important?
It is, regardless. You know, here's just the basic truth. GitHub account, you are literally, what's it called? You are literally putting a basic, what's kind of like a technical resume online. Like, it's one thing to say you can do certain things. It's another to show that you can do certain things, right? So if you can show that you've written a really good template for a responsive website, or you've written a pretty good mobile, or you know how to play around with Python in really interesting ways, all of that stuff matters. So put that up there, okay? Post that GitHub stuff and make sure people can see it. Make sure it's public, because people want to see it as public. Again, that's another thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you have a very sensitive work project, team project that you're working on that has to be private, then keep that private. But maybe if you could like show something similar to it, don't copy the code and just, you know, repost it as it is. But maybe if you could show one concept from it that's really cool, that's allowed to be shared, you can do that, and it would really be a nice way to just show off your chops and what you're good at. So there's another one. So what qualifications mentioned should be relevant to the job that you're applying for? Well, that's the thing. It really comes down to this. What's the job? Because sure, here in Zimbabwe, I know you can just find a job post for developer. That happens. Like that really just does happen. But a lot of posts tend to be more descriptive. So there's need for a JavaScript developer. There's need for again, Android developer. There's need for a Python developer. There's need for someone who's really good at making e-commerce, online commerce platforms. And usually that's what makes you know what to put when applying for the job. So when you're putting your qualifications and you've done a JavaScript program, I mean, you've done what's it called? Yeah, you've done something that uses a JS framework, or you've done a site that has some pretty cool JavaScript features or implementations. Talk about that. Okay, put that in there. If it wasn't already in your CV, put that in there. If you can share maybe a project that's similar on your GitHub, make sure that's there. Show people what they want to see for that job. And again, here in Zim, you might just find it's developer, and only when you go for an interview, that's when you hear what kind of developer it is. That is more complicated, but try and show off your best work. I think that tends to be a good adage to go by. Show off your best work. Chances are that's definitely going to get someone to pay attention. Yeah, I think that's the larger part of it, really. I don't know. Sagan, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you got it covered.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, cool. Another one. Great. Someone's saying, let me publish this publicly. All right. Someone's saying, so how do we apply to international companies?
A very good question, because you should be aiming to leave Zimbabwe.
Come on, guys. Not always. Okay, not always. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of chances to do something really big that will change people's lives.
There's opportunity when you come back after you've already received opportunities elsewhere. But in the moment that you're at right now.
Let's not go into okay. I feel like this discussion has been had by so many people at so many points, so let's not. Besides, we're keeping things friendly and nice. But yeah. Okay. Here's the biggest thing, And I know this is gonna sound kind of crazy, and how can I say? Here's my advice: just apply. Okay, and I say that being someone who's not landed a job at an international company yet, I'm gonna be honest. But if there's one thing I've noticed, just apply. If you're really good at something, if you're really good at a certain language, if you're really good at a certain skill set, if you really know how to do it, and you find that there's a job opening that goes along with what you're going for, and apply. And let's actually go back a bit. Know where to look. Okay, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, all the big companies have really open job or career sections on their websites or on the blogs that, like the blogs that are essentially the job blogs for what's it called, for their sites. And literally, it always comes down to looking at those sites, finding something that applies to you, and trying it out. And look, I'm gonna be honest. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. But if it's a really great company, they'll actually tell you why it worked and why it didn't. And you can now have an idea of, oh, okay, so I was supposed to have done this way, right? Or I was supposed to have brought up certain projects that I didn't in that last. So the next time you apply for a job like that, or you even apply for a job at that same company, chances are you're in a better position. In the end, it actually even is very similar to applying for jobs in real life, I guess, where it's like the truth is, yeah, there is a certain amount of risk. I mean, everybody's scared of rejection, right? Everybody's scared of things not going their way. But never be so scared to the point where it stops you. Never do that. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself. And really, you should just focus and aim to just do your best, throw the best work you've got out there. And eventually, I think you will find something that's really great. So, to wrap this up, check out job, or what's it called? Check out job sections for lots of sites. Another thing that I actually forgot to add, besides LinkedIn, because yeah, again, LinkedIn has a lot of job postings, like literally, there's a whole LinkedIn jobs thing. So check that out. But besides that, there's also, to a certain extent, how you fix your other social media to work. Twitter for a lot of people and Reddit for a lot of people have become actual great places to check out A, advice on technical careers, B, finding job postings. Right? You see, I see this all the time. If you're someone like me, I tend to follow a lot of Microsoft people. Some have been in real life, some haven't. But a lot of those guys just tend to post a job posting from Microsoft online, like just like that. No crazy strings attached. No, how can I say this, red tape or anything. It's just there. And if you want to, what's it called? If you want to go for that job, you can go for that job. So yeah, don't hold back on that. You see a job posting, go for it. Definitely make sure you're at a point where your CV and your GitHub and everything else is in a good place for that, but go for it. Yeah, I don't know. Shagani, you want to add anything, or that's it? Okay, so first things first, Takuzo posted. Wow. Okay, so for those who are from UZ, you might know Takuza if there's any people from UZ here. He's a Microsoft student ambassador for the University of Zimbabwe. And first things first, he was like, he wishes he was participating. You are, dude. You're posting stuff. But secondly, thing is concerning leaving location, your gift has no geography. They'll notice you. Trust me. I do believe that actually to a pretty large extent. Here's why. Small personal story. I spent a lot of my time during late high school and after high school trying to apply to your university abroad, more specifically a university in the United States. And the idea was, go to a university in the United States, get noticed by Microsoft or Google or any big tech company, and hopefully, start working there, start being noticed, start doing all that stuff. That didn't happen, as you can probably tell. Not a fun experience trying out for American colleges and sometimes getting in but not having enough financial aid, or sometimes just not getting in. Not a fun spot. Want to know what's crazy though? Years later, then Microsoft Hackathon competition happened, and I mean, I don't even think they did this as a diversity thing or anything, but I got noticed because I'm this guy who's trying stuff out and who's really passionate about taking, who's doing a few things that are pretty cool. I wouldn't say I'm doing the most amazing things ever, but I got that because I don't know. Let me see if I can actually share the photo. But essentially, I got that because I was a snob. And it really leads back into what I was just saying, which is, yeah, your talent can have them find you wherever you are. And it's not always like that, to be fair. And look, I don't want to get crazy deep and scary. It's always okay. We all have so many challenges. It's not a fun or easy ride for so many of us, and that way, it makes total sense if your let's call it your what is this? Your objective is just to leave. It does. It's not fun to think about, but it makes sense. But if you don't leave, stick it out, chances are there's some pretty amazing things that can happen even if you are here. I mean, there is such a huge push, and I mean a huge push from a lot of these companies now for what's it called, for African expansion and finding more and more developers in Africa and finding more and more developers that they can work with and ways to expand within Africa. And that is not a mistake. That is not just some random chance. It's because they know that Africa, and people say this as a cliche, but it is the truth. Africa really is the future for a lot of these companies and just in general. It really is because you look at markets, you look at how tech is expanding in the world. A lot of other parts have already been expanded too. Just what's it called? Talking from a purely, what would you call it? Purely logical perspective. China is already China, right? The US and Europe are already the US and Europe. Of course, it's not perfect, but the bigger parts of those countries that are very tech friendly have already had their fill of that. And now it's kind of about the rest of the world, making the rest of the world pretty awesome, making the rest of the world. There's obviously chances to expand here and grow a business and be pretty amazing in what we do. And that's why Africa is such a big focus right now. And it's a big focus because there's a lot that can still be done here that hasn't been done in a lot of these countries. So there's a chance that if you're doing something really good, okay, I'm actually gonna, I've shared this with my student ambassadors groups, but I should share this again. Microsoft's Power Apps initiative has been trying to find more and more developers and more capable people around the world, and especially in developing countries like Africa. So look at that. That's literally, I mean, developing continents like Africa. That's literally Microsoft essentially saying, when it comes to this, we prefer people that are coming from these, what's it called, from developing nations. We prefer people that are coming from nations we haven't tapped into before, because those people are supposed to be a gateway for the rest of, for Microsoft and all these other companies to get into these nations. So yeah, work at what you've got, be good at what you've got. I mean, come on, we live in a world where you can work for Microsoft whilst at home. Okay, that is just the truth now. Especially with things like COVID-19 pushing working at home and distance working to new heights, I guess. it really just comes down to the fact that be good at what you're doing and know how to market it. And chances are you could get noticed anywhere. Is it great to leave Zimbabwe, especially from a development perspective? Yeah, probably. But you know, you could actually still do some pretty amazing things in Zimbabwe too. So not a completely, shut down about that. Okay, then one more question. Amila is saying, sometimes your resume have been rejected. Yes, many times. Remember, as I said, I used this resume looking for a job for my attachment for my internship here. And it's safe to say that otherwise I would be working for like 20 companies right now. Right? Big ones, small ones, private and public. And that's not what happened. Now there's a chance that some people could say, well, it's above it, they never even saw your resume. And that's true. But you know what? Some things just happen the way they're supposed to, and some things just don't. And that's just fine, guys. Don't ever think that just because I have the best resume ever, I can do no wrong or I'll always be accepted. But at the same time, don't be scared to make a really good resume on the fear that you put your best stuff out there and people will reject it. It happens. This is a part of the working world, and it's not a very nice part. But, life is what it is sometimes. That's not something to be scared about. I mean, actually, you guys want to see this. But yeah, I I didn't get to doing that. I didn't get to Microsoft until I mean because of being in America. Got there because of being here. So it matters. It really does. Don't ever look down on where you are, what you're doing because of your country. Trust me, you can get to really amazing places, even coming from what seems like some of the most unremarkable nations. Don't ever look down on that. So yeah, I don't know, is Shakani still around? I can't actually hear. Um, I'm thinking it's time we just start wrapping up and unfortunately it's down. But of course, it's always awesome to hang out with you guys. Real, believe it or not. I know these are not the most interactive sessions, and we will have a more interactive one, like just a call. People just talk and have fun and intelligence, and it'll be a blast. But Shikani's still there. Please be there. Don't leave me. Hello, please. I don't know.
Hi.
Oh, so you just let me go on for this long and not even what?
It sounded like you were rambling and sharing insightful whatever. Yeah, I'm more of a keep things concise and to the point and under an hour, but this is mostly your event, so
It is our event.
I'm not as interactive as you are. If there's no questions within 5 minutes, usually I wrap it up, because for those who are then going to watch it on YouTube, there's going to be like this long segment of, oh yeah, so my life was nice, and then I had a CV, and then I believed in myself, and then I went to Microsoft.
You are so mean. You're mean. What mean? And also, how can I be rambling and saying insightful things at the same time? That sounds oxymoronic.
I don't know. There were nuggets here and there.
I'm not even. Okay, guys. So if my little clown here is done, if anyone doesn't have any more questions, I think we're actually gonna start wrapping it up because apparently this concise and whatever person is going. This is the person who should have been showing their CV because obviously it was very concise. It just said,
"Oh yeah, it's a single page."
I am me. That's what it said, and it worked. So I don't know, but again, thanks for joining. It's always great having you guys join these. Hopefully, they're really, really helpful and there's more insightful stuff than rambling. But thank you again so much. I don't know, Chagani, have any lasting words, or you would like people to reach out to you anywhere, or reach out to DSC, anything really that you say?
We're still working on our social media pages. We'll set up a Twitter account, but right now we only have a WhatsApp group. I focused mainly on that because my members haven't been to school in a really long time and they tend to complain of data. So
Yeah.
I primarily focused on that. But for now, we just have a WhatsApp group, and how you can get a hold of me. I do have social media too. You can come and say hi. Most of my accounts are public. Do I write them down somewhere?
I don't. Yeah, you can write them in the comment and answer section, and yeah, just leave it there. I guess if you want. That's number one. Here's number two. Everyone is laughing at me in the comments in the answer section because of what you said, but okay, evil, just evil. Again, guys, I will make sure I share the documents and the links for everything we used as a basis today. I will not share my CV. That is not happening. Someone already asked me that on WhatsApp. Not happening. Yeah, okay, so she shared her who's there. For me, just check out at Microsoft SAHIT on Twitter. I'll write it down as our Twitter page. You should definitely. I do have what's essentially a student ambassador page. It's just small bios. For those of you who really like hearing about it. Size. Check out the link I put there. It's called the Zimbabwe Perspective. It's a Zimbabwe focused tech site. I think you'll like a few things that we talk about there. We're actually having an interview with Bank ABC because they had a CV writing event yesterday. Some of you might have checked that out. I'm not sure. And we're actually just trying to talk about getting more and more youth in different fields into the right jobs and how we can do that. So, you know, trying to help people out, that type of stuff. But yeah, again, thank you so much, guys. Really. Chagani mentioned data with her crew. It's really everywhere. Okay, it's not just cut people, it's people. Okay, like actually it's easiest right now. But hopefully things are getting better. So yeah, thank you for joining. I guess this is me signing off. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, and done. Hey, you still there?